Hello, we're Joe and Megan Hobbs with Hobbs Show Lambs in Newton, Kansas.
And welcome to our barns.
My wife Megan and I both grew up raising and showing sheep through 4-H and FFA. And so Hobbs Show Lamb started basically from that little experience with a small flock when I was young. When we were dating, she started buying some sheep and I would raise them, and so the flock that we have now basically started at that point, 15 plus years ago. So when we bought this acreage about 10 years ago, it was a horse facility, really with minimal adaptation, basically just some hot wire fence on the inside of the existing gates and panels. We were able to set up some pretty nice sheep pastures. When we bought this property, there was a small 3-sided building in the pasture. So we actually, in the recent years, have doubled its size, so we can get, at least 100 ewes into that building in the heat of the day. We're now in the ram barn. This is where we house our ram lambs and adult rams. They're the ones that we've retained for our own use. The goal in here is to keep them healthy, fertile, but also to have a little bit of a display area so that when people come for a tour, they can see the rams. We can go in and catch the rams, so you can go and handle them, appraise them, and decide whether you want to breed to that one or not. This barn is actually a retrofitted horse stall barn, basically. There was a nice concrete floor in the middle that provides a safe walking surface, as well as a place where we can set fans. Underneath the pens are actually dirt or crushed limestone, so that when we bed bed the pens with shavings, the moisture has a chance to get away. We climate control this building as much as possible. We have a number of overhead fans, as well as we use porta-cools in here to try and keep the temperature low. We'll close up the building some, cover the windows perhaps, in order to keep the greenhouse effect from getting real severe throughout the summer. This next large barn was actually the first one that we built when we moved here. Over time, it's moved from our main production facility into essentially recip housing. So there's 4 dry lot runs out here. Each has 25 to 30 recip ewes in it that we've been using through our programs in July and August. So now we've come to our AIET center. This particular room we call our holding room. So we'll bring our own sheep into these pens to get them ready to be AI'd or the recips on embryo transfer day. They will get loaded on cradles in this area. Then we take them through the curtains. This we call the surgery room. Incision sites will be prepped. They'd go over to the veterinarian station, which would be along the wall on this side, where they've analyzed the semen. The vets would breed them. They would get a shot of antibiotics on the way out and leave through the other set of curtains back into the room that we were just in. So when we built this new building, we wanted to have a place for people to congregate. It's actually part office for me, nice little kitchen setup, as well as restroom and a place where people can gather and hang out. Now we're in our lambing room. We can fit comfortably about 50 ewes in the 2 pens that we have in here. We bring the pregnant ewes in when they're within a couple weeks of lambing, let them drop in these pens, and then build temporary, generally 5-foot by 5-foot jugs along the walls as they lamb. Then when all the ewes have lambed, we can start taking the families out of the jugs. And in the same area, we create a mixing pen of ewes and lambs. So we get the lambs born, then we need a place to move those families, the ewes and the lambs together into this group housing area, so we can lamb another group in the lambing barn, right? So there's 4 big pens in here. Generally, each pen will hold about 25 ewes and their lambs. Feeders that we use throughout most of our production facility are these Premier style double-sided bunks. You can use them to add some hay or feed grain. They work really well as a divider between 2 pens of sheep, and ultimately it's the best way to get as much bunk space into a long pen like this as possible. I'm Joe Hobbs with Hobbs Show Lambs in Newton, Kansas. Thanks so much for visiting our barns.